Thank you so much for coming back and watching another one of my videos. My name is Khandy. Today we have a very special video for you, included with a very special guest. Today we have Matt joining us. Matt is an awesome young man. He is an adoptee and he is going to share his story with us. And I'm so happy that you're here to join us. So I'm going to have Matt introduce himself, tell us a little bit about himself, and then we're going to get into his story.
Awesome. Thank you, Khandy. Thank you guys for having me on the video. It's awesome to be here. My name is Matt and I'm 23 years old. I am a teacher. I grew up in New York, born and raised in the Bronx, moved to Mount Vernon, and I went to school for studio production. So that's like recording, mixing, anything like that. But I'm currently a teacher at a preschool. I've been teaching for about 4 or 5 years now. So, trying to incorporate the both of those is interesting, but it's a weird path I'm on, but I know once I'll figure it out, it'll be a lot simpler. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
All right. And Matt is also currently in school getting his master's. So I know he's going to be doing great things, great things.
Trying my best. Absolutely.
You're doing it. You're doing it. So how old were you when you were adopted?
I want to say around 8 days old is the last time I remember my mom telling me that, that's how old I was. So I would say just out of the womb, kind of like fresh out of the womb, I was adopted now. So
your mom brought you home right from the hospital.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. Are your adoptive parents African-American or Caucasian?
They are African-American.
African, both of your parents?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, your upbringing.
It was actually really fun, I must say. Growing up in a household like with African-Americans, I feel like it was, I learned the culture, I learned the different, I just surrounded myself with a lot of people. And I feel like I definitely got that from my parents. The fact that they were so friendly, the fact that I say were as if they were dead. The fact that they are so friendly, the fact that they are just great people to be around. Growing up, and watching that and kind of inheriting that in a way, I feel like, growing up wasn't any like challenges or anything like that. It was more so just me going through the motions and, all that different kind of stuff. So yeah, no complaints here.
Big holidays, big celebrations, big birthdays.
Yeah, everything was like kind of big, and they wanted to make sure that each of us were treated the same. Each of us were given the same like focus point on that day or on that week or on that month, whenever we would do really well in school. Because it wasn't just, we were never treated any different from each other, even though our circumstances were different. So I'm very grateful for that, because I feel like with, adoption and adoptees, if I feel like that shouldn't be the case. Like everyone's a part of the family, no matter what blood is running through your veins. Like, if there's love, then that's all that really matters.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Was adoption a normal topic in your household, or was it considered taboo? Like, did you guys talk about it or not so much?
I want to say like a combination of both.
Okay.
Because I remember like the first conversation I had with my dad, and he introduced me to my biological mom when I was in the 2nd grade. And I remember like meeting the both of them for the first time and them saying, "Hey, we're your parents." And I was like, "Huh? You're my parents? What is that?" So previously, I think before that, I remember like having conversations with my mom and saying, "Oh, this is the situation, or not the situation, this is the circumstances, this is what's happening. And when you get older, you'll understand more, but we're telling you now just because." And I feel like as we got older, whenever I would have questions, I would ask it, but it wasn't like a topic we would say like on a daily basis. It wasn't like, it was just a regular thing. And we wanted to make sure, or at least I wanted to make sure that, I understood everything, and I understood that, my biological mom, like, even though she had her past and whatnot, she tried her best, and it is what it is. And, just kind of just going with the motions and whatnot.
Okay. Do you feel like when you were told, when you had the conversation with when you were introduced to your biological mother, do you feel like maybe you didn't have a negative impact because you were never treated differently? So maybe I'll just leave it at that. Do you feel like that because you weren't treated differently your entire life? Like how you said all the siblings were treated the same?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that plays a really big role. I feel like, regardless of the circumstances, my mom has, it's kind of weird because I have two moms. My mom that I lived with, she, made it crystal clear that she loved us and she cared for us and that she wanted to ensure that we had the best lives ever. And even though she wasn't our biological mother, like I consider her more of a mom because of that. And it's, it's all that we could really ask for. And I think because of that, there's no negative stigma I feel, because she was so loving, because she was so understanding. And, I feel like, it is what it is, I guess.
Perfect. Okay. So looking back at it, do you feel like you were ever treated differently from family? Not your parents, not your siblings, but from extended family because you weren't biologically related?
Not really. Not really. I don't remember any times where I felt any different. If anything, outside of adoption, I felt different from my father's side of the family for a whole different set of reasons. But
okay.
Besides that,
a whole nother video.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic.
Okay.
But besides that, as an adoptee, I never felt any different. My mom that I lived with, she had two kids before me, and they felt like my brothers, even though we were 0% related at all. I can still call on them. I can still say, hey, you're my brothers, even though biologically they're not. And they never treated me or my other siblings any kind of way about it. Like they saw me as family and I saw them as family. And because of that, it just brought me closer in a way.
Got it. Have you ever faced any personal struggles like loss, grief, abandonment, any type of trauma because of being adopted? I know that as an adoptive mom, we see that a lot. And I know a lot of hopeful adoptive parents, when they're researching adoption, that's what they see and they're afraid. Me, I didn't come into our journey that way because I come from a family that's built off of adoption on my husband's side. I wasn't able to tell, I didn't know that they were adopted because everything just looked normal, which is what I feel like adoption should look like. It should look normal.
Agreed.
So did you ever feel or suffer from, and it's not to say if you did, it was different, but did you ever personally deal with anything like that? And if you did, how did you face that and deal with that?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't say trauma outside of the family, trauma done to me in a way, but more so self-trauma, if that makes sense. I guess a sense of identity is kind of where I felt lost at in a way.
Yes.
But it was it happened so briefly, it kind of just went over my head. But you asking that question kind of brought it back. There was a time I felt because I was adopted, I felt, different for everybody else. And I felt angry. And I felt like I didn't deserve to be here because I'm not biologically hers in a way. But like I said, it happened so briefly and kind of out of nowhere, to be honest, because it never stemmed from any anger towards my parents, because like I said, they have done everything in their power to give me the best life that like possibly. But I guess with what I was going through at that stage of my life, it felt like the whole world was on my shoulders and I felt pressured to be the best. And that part of my life, me being adopted, kind of being just like my identity, it also became my, not crutch, but more so something that I felt like briefly ashamed of at the same time, in a way.
How old were you when you had this feeling?
If I can remember, I want to say like teenage years, like 15, 14, 15-ish, around that time.
Did you ever speak to anyone about it?
Not really, no. Like, it's gonna sound weird, but whenever I would like face these crises or these like, moments of like self-identity, I would in a way like kind of talk with myself, not talk to myself, but like talk with myself and like kind of go through the motions of like what is going through my head and try and convince myself like, no, that's not the case, trying to take me off the cliff, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like not feel that way anymore because no one should ever feel that way. And it's a really dark place to be in. And like I said, it happened so briefly, it went over your head, or my head rather, but that feeling may take place for a very long time for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it may take something, as dark as, ending somebody's life to kind of send that message of like, I don't feel like myself anymore. And thank God I never got to that point, but it was leading there. Not to make light of it, but it's something that but I'm happy that it didn't, because like I said, my family was supportive. And even though they may not know about that part of me, it's something that I want to hide away because I don't want them to worry. But at the same time, it's something that, I don't know, I feel like it's good to share, good to communicate. Yeah. Only because
it's great to share, especially with, a parent that has adopted. My next question, that's not on the list. That's not on the list of questions. I'm all lost now. FYI. It's so okay. So we're gonna get back on track. But thank you so much for sharing that. But are there any signs that a parent can look for in their child to maybe say they might be dealing with something? Because I'm sure you didn't go to your parents and say, hey, mom and dad, I'm dealing with this. I'm sure you were still getting up, going to school. I'm sure you were still going to whatever activities you had. I'm sure you were still acting like a normal teenage child, maybe a little withdrawn. That's a normal teenager. You know what I mean? So are there any signs that we should maybe look for, actions that we should look for? Or do you have anything that you can give us to help us out? Maybe.
Yeah. I would say like any dramatic change of behavior that you're not used to.
Okay.
I feel like that's the biggest indication. Okay. And as a teenager, it's not easy to like, well, we kind of wear, or at least for me, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And you can see how I'm feeling based on my facial expressions or like based on what I'm physically doing or how I'm moving. Not saying that that's for everybody, but just for me, it's easy to see like my parents say, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? And it's easy for me to just say, oh, I'm fine. And then kind of just put on this facade of like, I'm okay. I'm just going through the motions and seeing what life brings. But it's as easy as that is to do. It's also easy for parents to kind of overlook and to just like turn the other cheek and say, if they say they're fine, then they're fine. And that's it. And that's not that's a really big mistake, because the last thing you need is for that child or that person to do something that they're going to regret for the rest of their lives. So I would say, like, as a parent, step in as much as you can without being intrusive or being like, overbearing, because no one needs an overbearing parent. Um, they need like a supportive parent. They need somebody that's going to be there for them and look out for them no matter what. And like, luckily I had that, even though I didn't outright communicate those feelings to my parents. I knew, like, through conversation, through interactions, that they were there. So me communicating that was just kind of just thrown out the window because I didn't feel the need to anymore, because those feelings were already gone. So
thank you so much for sharing that.
of course.
Thank you. Woo. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I kind of threw a bomb at you. Sorry.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And trust me, my viewers are going to appreciate it. Do you have, or have you ever had a relationship with your birth mom?
The last thing I remember from her, there was like a cookout or a gathering of some sort. And she would call me Junior because me and my dad share the same name. And it's funny because somebody else in our family also was a Junior, but he would go by Junior as well. So I didn't know that she was talking to me. So she'd be like, Junior, Junior. And I said, who are you talking to? And then it ended up like me. And she would like have a conversation with me and like ask me how I'm doing. And me being this little boy, I'm like shy and timid. And I'm like, I shouldn't really talk to this stranger or whatever. But outside of that, it's not, this is gonna suck to say, but I have to be honest. I don't really have a relationship with her. Mm-hmm. And I don't really feel like I need one, mm-hmm, because I already have a mom, mm-hmm, and I don't need two moms, if that makes sense. Not to sound like, it's okay, oh, you're ungrateful or anything like that, but it's more so, my life, I'll say, being 23, I feel like my life is as good as it can be with my mom in my life right now. She's provided me with so much like happiness and joy, and I can't thank her enough. So for my biological mom to fill in a role that doesn't need to be filled is kind of redundant to me. And not to say that it won't ever happen. Like, I'm sure one day when I get out of my feelings or get out of my head, I'll kind of just man up and like talk to her and see how she's doing. But right now it's more so, I feel like I'm still grieving, and I feel like I'm still like just unsure of how to feel at the same time. So I won't never say never is kind of my answer to
that. Is being adopted something you speak openly about, or is it something you have shame about, like as a man, like at this age, mm-hmm, this time in your life?
I don't have shame of it, really. I talk about it like privately with my friends, like my really close friends, because it's something that I feel like they should know. And it's also funny because seeing their reaction is like, what? You're adopted? I would have never guessed. Mm-hmm. Like, your family's like this and that. And I'm like, I know, it's crazy. Like, sometimes I don't feel like I'm adopted. I feel like
you shouldn't.
Right. No one should. No one should ever have that feeling. Mm-hmm. So for me to have like share that story with people, and then for me to go through the family tree that I can remember of like all my siblings and all my cousins and aunts and uncles and whatever, they're blown away. And that's kind of the funny part of it as well. It's like, you never know anything about a person until you really have a conversation with them. Yes. And, you can't judge a book by its cover either. Mm-hmm. Because so many people that I've known would have never imagined that this is who I am. This is my identity. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to share that with them. But, having that in the open more so, I'll get there. I mean, this is a really big,
now.
Right. I think this is a really big first step to getting it there.
And I appreciate you for doing this. I do. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. This is a big step. This is a big step.
Yeah.
How do you feel being adopted has shaped your life?
It's a really good question. I feel like it's, like I said about identity, it's who I am. It's something that I can list as a fun fact at small get-togethers. It's something that I feel really happy about. And it's something that I would like to partake in the future. Like definitely my partner and I plan on adopting one day, not anytime soon, but one day in the future, because mostly for me personally, it's giving somebody a chance that would have never received that chance from anybody else. And I was given that chance. And I feel very blessed and I feel very honored to be here right now sharing my story. And I want my son or daughter who I adopt to have that same like confidence, that same energy where they can look at me as their dad, even though we may not look the same, we may not be the same blood. I'm your dad. Like I'm there to provide for you as best as I can.
Yeah.
And I want to teach you all these different things and show you that even though we may have kids in the future or like before you or after you, you're still a part of our family, no matter what anybody may say. Because that's what I received. That's the kind of love that I received. And I want to give that same love to somebody else. So.
Was that important for you? I know, without putting all your business out there, I know that you're in a serious relationship now. Was this something serious for you? Like when you were dating, if she was not on board with adopting, how was that going to work? Is that something that you said, like, I know for a fact I'm going to adopt? And if that person said, no, I only want my own biological children, was that like a deal breaker for you? How does that work?
It wouldn't have been a deal breaker because I understand that like if she were to have been on that side of the fence, I would have like been just like super understanding and whatnot, because adoption isn't really seen in the positive light by so many people as much as it should be. Like I feel like adoption should be viewed as this blessing, as this thing that's like a positive thing. But not everybody has that view. Luckily, my partner does. But just in case she didn't, like I wouldn't have pressured her in any way. I wouldn't have given her any like negativity or anything like that. Yeah, nothing like that. I would try to like convince her and like share my story and share my side of things, and then hopefully she'll change her mind. But if she doesn't, then it is what it is. So yeah, I'm not like too pressed about it, to be honest.
Gotcha. Okay. What advice would you give to adoptive parents? So parents that have already adopted, like me.
Mm-hmm. What advice? Advice in terms of like what specifically? Just in general?
You turned out great, it seems. I mean, I'm like looking at you with like complete glee. Just, he's so great. Like, I mean, obviously your parents did a great job. What would you, again, we just want to make sure that we are doing our best to raise our children in loving, secure homes. So what advice would you give parents as far as being open, honest with their children about their story prior to coming into our lives, and then just raising them to being confident in who they are?
Yeah, I feel like speaking on honesty and like openness, I feel like not hiding it is the biggest piece of advice I can share, because if you were to wait, and I know you won't, but if you were to wait until they were like 16, 17, 18 to share with them that they're adopted, then there may be like a sense of resentment that they may feel towards you guys. And, that's the last thing as a parent that you want, is for your child to feel resentful towards you. So I think sharing it as early as possible, where they can comprehend, where they can understand the circumstances. That way, as they grow up and really understand that, oh, wow, okay, this is who I am. And I have questions. I have to embrace it. I have to figure out like who I am, like giving them that space to really grow and adapt. I feel like that's important because they would have already done that without you telling them. So for them to get that later on in life would just kind of like give them a whole 180 turn on life and say, wow, this is a lot. Like they could be going to college. College is this opportunity where you're going to discover yourself. For them to now discover themselves in that realm where they know that they're adopted now, it's like it could lead to an overwhelming slope that they could just fall down, and no one wants that. So I feel like telling them early, telling them at a point in their life where they can understand, I feel like that's the best piece of advice I can share when it comes to parents who are considering, parents who are already adopted, parents who may not know if they really want to adopt because of that reason, because that's the reason why I feel like that's a reason why a lot of people just don't really consider it, is because what if you have to tell that child, or they just choose not to tell their child at all? And that's very unhealthy and very damaging in a way. So.
Okay, so November is National Adoption Awareness Month. What does adoption mean to you?
Like I said before, adoption is giving somebody a chance that wouldn't have received that chance ever. Like adoption is taking a risk and just loving on somebody that you want to be a part of your family. Adoption is family. And for those who don't see it in that light, I don't want to say it's understandable, but it's a little interesting to say the least, because, like having somebody part of your family, like putting it in perspective of a baby, like somebody that you give birth to. They are new, they are different, they are somebody that you've never seen in the first 9 months of your life, but they're here now and they're a part of you. Okay, that's awesome. Congratulations. That same thing can be said about somebody who's just not related to you at all. They're new, they're different, somebody that you've never seen before, but you can still, just like that biological baby, can have that same amount of love for somebody who has no relation to you whatsoever. And like, it's not the simplest thing in the world, but it also is.
It can be.
It can be.
It can be.
Because like I said, you're taking a chance and you are doing something life-changing, because babies are life-changing, just period, in general. So doing that for somebody else that really needs it, who needs a family, who needs that nurturing, that loving home, and that thing that we are all striving for as parents, is important. So adoption, as taboo as it may be in the outside world, it's very important and it's very crucial to me. So.
You are dope. You are an amazing, 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 amazing young man. I mean, this went better than I thought it was ever going to go. I mean, thank you so much for being so vulnerable. Thank you so much for being transparent, honest. Just thank you for being you, and thank you for being genuine. Thank you to your parents for raising such an awesome young man. I don't know what the future holds for you, but I know that you're going to do great at whatever it is that you do. And thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Again, as adoptive parents, it's just something that you jump headfirst into and you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. But for us, it was love at first sight. And that's literally what it is. You can't really prepare yourself for that. And adoption is everything to me. It's everything to my husband. It's everything to this household. And so many families feel that way. And I wish more did. And I hope with people hearing your story and hearing your voice and hearing someone that was adopted and they still have this love and this joy and this positive outlook on it, it will lead them and guide them towards the process of, I want to do it. Because again, so many people, they let fear lead their journey. And when you let fear lead your journey, you're not going to make any type of moves. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you so much for taking time to do this. I really, really, really appreciate this. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Matt, for joining me today. This interview was amazing, amazing, amazing. For anyone that this is your first time watching, thank you so much. Please go ahead and press that like button. If you have any questions or comments for myself or Matt, go ahead and leave them below. Matt will jump on and answer any questions that you have for him. I will answer any ones that you have for me. Please don't forget to push that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. I upload a new video every single week, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Adios.